Welcome to Talk Flicks with Boss Chicks. I'm your host, Crystal, and today we're going to be talking about the 2006 remake of the horror thriller, The Hills Have Eyes.
Hey, get up.
First of all, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to our channel. Second, if you love horror films and you haven't seen the original The Hills Have Eyes directed by Wes Craven, you should be ashamed of yourself. So go back and watch that and then watch this one. Nobody directs a film like Wes. May he rest in power. This iteration of the film was directed by Alexandra Aja, starring Ted Levine, Kathleen Keeneland, and Dan Bird. This movie starts off with the family going RVing out west. They stop at a dingy gas station for a pit stop, and that is when everything starts going down. The dad, who is driving a beautiful Airstream, gets talked into going on an off-map route back to the highway. First of all, why are you taking your rig off the map? Like, do you not care about your Airstream or your truck? It's like the most ridiculous thing. Then you trust someone who looks and acts like a creep? I just don't understand. Like, these things are ridiculous, but this is exactly what happens in America. And we're actually going to talk about how this film really parallels how American politics really kind of happens. So the interesting thing is, when I watched this movie again, because I've seen it in 2006, but when I watched it again, I kind of came in a little bit into it. And as soon as I saw the characters, I thought, these people are Republicans. And then I saw he had this flag on the car, and I thought, these people would literally be Trump supporters. And lo and behold, the dad says some little sly remark about his son being a Democrat because he doesn't like guns. So it's crazy. But I'm telling you, if this had been shot in 2020, that flag would have been a Trump flag. But we'll come back to the flag because it has more of a symbolic meaning towards the end. So as they're going on this off-map route, these inbred type of people in the hills set tire spikes, and it blows the wheels out of the rig and the tow vehicle. But I have to say, Bob, the dad, did a hell of a job, mitigating the situation, because when all your tires blow out when you're towing something, that is very likely that you'll just turn everything over. But again, who is doing this? You have a beautiful Airstream. Why are you doing this? This story takes place in a time before GPSs, so I guess I'll give them some slack because they're trying to find a shorter route. So let's look at what this film teaches us about politics in America. First of all, this film, we see this family, they end up in a very dire situation. And what is the first thing that they do? They start arguing over guns and ideologies, and they split up. Typical Democrat and Republicans. Like, we see this all the time nowadays. It's so rare to have consensus or bipartisanship on anything, especially during life and death issues all of a sudden, which really should be something that unifies people. So the dad, Bob, and Doug, his son-in-law, they go out looking for help in the middle of nowhere, and there's no cell phone signal. And they go, different ways. Hey, we can cover more area. So Bob walks back to this gas station where he got this bad advice, and no one's there. But he sees these newspaper articles about how the government's been doing nuclear testing on this town, and people have been, coming up with deformities. And the gas attendant who told him to take this off-map route kills himself. And it's very graphic, so if you can't handle that, you wouldn't like this. But, Bob tries to get out of there, and he ends up getting his head smashed against the window and taken by this mutant leader named Papa Jupiter. So, back at the trailer where the rest of the family is, they're basically camping out, waiting for the men to come back. and one of the German shepherds get loose, and Bob's son Bobby looks for him, and he finds the dog gutted open. And he then gets attacked and trips and hits his head, and his sister Brenda ends up having to find him. So when he gets back to the trailer, he tells them, what happened. As he's telling them, Doug comes back because he, went out and he didn't find anything. He comes back. And they're trying to figure out what to do, and then they start hearing screaming in the background. So everyone runs out to see what's going on except for Brenda and the baby. They have a baby there on board. So again, splitting up. And it was just kind of annoying to me that even in situations where they know they're in dangerous territory, they split up. So while the rest of the family is there, Bob, he's on fire, and they go out there trying to put the fire out. Brenda and the baby end up getting attacked, and Doug's wife ends up hearing some of the cries, and she goes back to the trailer, just her, everyone else is trying to put the fire out. And then she gets attacked by the mutants as well. And then the mutants take the baby. And it wasn't until the baby is taken that Doug, the Democrat, mans up. I feel like this happens a lot in politics, where politicians don't man up until things start to really affect them personally. So when they see, oh, this may actually hurt my reelection, or, oh, this may actually affect my family, they finally grow up here and do the right thing. Sometimes, sometimes not even then. I'm just like, he mans up, but he still ends up doing stuff the wrong way. In fact, the only people that were doing the right things were the women and the dogs. So the German Shepherd, they had two of them. The one died, but the other one was kicking ass, like saving the other characters from their dumb mistakes. These people couldn't think fast on their feet, like none of them. And they did not have the killer instinct necessary to really survive this situation. And they did not know how to leverage the effectiveness of their actions. They literally blew up the whole airstream to kill just one mutant, just one. You have no place to go, no shelter, no airstream. Like, do you know how much an airstream costs? Like, this was so dumb. I really just felt disrespected that they blew up an airstream just to kill one mutant. Then they risked their safety to go out there and find the mutants who took their mom's dead body. Like, I know this is traumatizing. The mom dying, it's very dramatic and heartbreaking. But at the same time, are you trying to live or are you trying to die? And then again, they separated just to find the mom's body. Like, priorities. Then, when you look at the actions of the characters, which again were representative of the American Congress, which has the lowest approval rating, but yet really high re-election rates. So while I hated their actions, I still found myself rooting for them for some reason. I don't know why we do this in real life, but it happens. And it also happens in the movies. So the coup de grace happens when Doug finally gets the boss to go get his baby from the mutants. Like, he had the opportunity to kill the mutants who took his baby, and he doesn't do it. Like, what kind of men are these? These people took your baby. When you run up on them, that should be an automatic death sentence for them. Like, no questions asked. Where's my baby? You don't know? Oh, stab. Okay, that's how that should have went. I mean, literally, the female mutant had to save the baby herself. Do you hear me? The dad did not save his own baby. The mutant girl did. To be fair, she wasn't as deformed as the other ones, but this girl had to do his work. And it's so accurate in real life. Like, women and dogs literally save the whole world. Like, I'm just saying. Like, where would we be without them? So then Doug, as he is looking for his baby, finds Bob, the patriarch's body, with a flag in his head. So coming back to this flag. And, we've been having these debates about flags for a while, and I just couldn't help but think about what the flag in his forehead meant, because his dead body had this flag in it. And I think it was sending a message that America does a lot of fucked up things. Like, these people, they were deformed because the government had went in there and did, nuclear testing, even though the people were there. And, the country it just has done a lot of shady things. Like there's been a lot of shady transactions between the US and other countries. And, you know, if we just think about Flint, Michigan and the crisis, like somebody really needs to apologize for these things. But it never happens. It's like, you know, it's America. We never do anything wrong. So later the flag is used to stab one of the mutants in the back of the neck. So this also parallels with the power that the U.S. wields against its enemies. Like literally, we can probably wipe out anybody. But let's just be honest for a second. This movie and this tragedy that this family experienced would have never happened if they had just been more discriminate about the gas stations they stop at. Like, who and why do people stop at dingy gas stations? Quality is important, okay? If they can't keep their establishment decent, like, there's no way this gas is going to be decent either. But overall, I would give this movie a 4 out of 10. Most of these points come from the fact that it's Wes Craven's story. And the German Shepherds were holding it down. And the ladies, too. Okay, they were getting it out here in the streets. If it hadn't been for them, this film would have easily gotten a 2 or less. I just can't forgive some of these things. Like, why would you purposefully blow up an Airstream? Okay? Why would you take it on an off-map route? It's just an atrocity. And they just kept separating. Like, I could not stand it, especially because they were in really, really difficult, trying, dangerous times. But that's how we are in this country. We separate on things that really need to be united on. And it just really kind of made me angry because we are so divided now that I wonder why this country is called the United States of America instead of the divided States of America. But, you know, that's just me. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. Please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And we'll be back doing another one of these soon. So, peace.